Here is how to comment during the Frankly Speaking show. On your computer, look to the right of the video. That's your live chat hub. Click the Say Something box at the bottom, type your message, and hit enter. Boom, you're live. On the mobile app, it's just as easy. Tap the live chat button right under the video to open the window. Pro tip, if you're in full screen mode, tap the screen once and hit the chat icon to see messages without leaving the action. Can't type? Check two things. Make sure you're signed in, and see if subscribers only mode is on. You might need to sub and wait a few minutes. Keep it respectful, follow the mod's rules, and have fun.
Phew. What a week. What a week. Good day. Frankly speaking, it was a good coming together in Montego Bay of hundreds from the diaspora. And what a time for the story to break. That one of the cabinet members, Andrew Wheatley, is to be criminally charged out of investigations by the Integrity Commission, IC. The IC says Dr. Wheatley was unable to explain $164 million in assets, more than his lawful earnings over the period 2013 to 2022. Frankly speaking, they call that enrichment, having $164 million more in assets than you can show to the IC that you legitimately earned. Yet, even as odious as that would seem, it is news that Jamaica has entered an agreement with the United States to receive on this island deportees from the US. In the process of those deportees are third country nationals returning to their homelands. Or, frankly speaking, if they don't wish to go home, they can apply to stay here. That's where we'll start today's podcast with our guests. The first being Donna Scott Motley, Opposition Senator and Shadow Minister of Foreign, Regional and Diaspora Affairs. But before that, welcome to co-host Desmond Richards. Winnie is not with us today, but she has left a treat for fathers, and we'll come to that. Welcome to all our viewers and listeners. Remember to subscribe to the channel and to like and share the podcast. We value your comments and encourage you to send your questions or comments while we are on live. Just follow the instructions provided at the top of the show. We'll read as many as we can. Go to the Say Something section or the live chat. Welcome to you, Senator Scott Motley. And thank you for taking time out of your big family event today to speak with us. We appreciate it.
Thank
After
you
the
so
cleaner
much.
broke news of the deal between Jamaica and the US regarding the deportees destined for other countries, the first come to Jamaica, you asked for some clarity. Were the issues of concern clarified to your satisfaction?
Well, before I answer that, may I wish both you and Desmond happy Father's Day, and wish
Thank you
all
very
your
much.
listeners who are male happy Father's Day. And
Thank
the context is important because I have to remind people that there is a position of guidance, morality, and trust which we expect from our fathers. And similarly, we expect that from our political leaders. Our fathers provide for us, but they also have to set our moral compass and do things which are in our interest. So I can answer, no, I don't think they were satisfactorily answered at all. And frankly, I think it is because the government was caught completely off guard by that Gleaner report. Now, let me start with that Gleaner report. The report suggested that it was a senior cabinet member who had approached the US government. That is very serious, because for you as a member of the cabinet to say to the US government, I want to be part of this program which you have instituted in other countries. You have let me out and I want to be part of the program, is to me a serious matter and a breach. Now, after I asked the questions, the Minister Horace Chang came out with what I thought was a very rambling and confused explanation. And even after hearing two ministers, we have not heard from the Prime Minister, he has chosen not to respond, I become more confused. It has not brought any clarity. On the one hand, Minister Chang is saying that there will be no convicts because, you know, this is part of what has been bothering Jamaicans. We had heard from the US government that we were going to receive pedophiles, rapists, undesirable persons who America wanted nothing to do with. So it was really going to be a dumping ground for persons who were rejected from the US system. According to them, President Trump had promised to clean up America. And so all these persons were to go as far from the US as possible. So, but Minister Chang says there are no convicts. So who really are these people who are coming to our shores? When they come, who will take care of them? How will they be housed? Minister Chang says they will not be detained. They will be free to come and go.
Yes. How do you understand that?
I don't
they
understand.
Will not be detained.
They will not be detained, and they are free to come and go as they like. So what we're doing is taking these people into our country. We don't know who they are. We don't know if they are convicts. We don't know if they have criminal records. We don't know if they are rapists. We don't know if they're pedophiles. But we are taking them in our country and taking on responsibility for them. That is shocking to me. And it's shocking in a context which matters very much to Jamaicans. We have had Haitians landing on our shores at a time when, in fact, the Prime Minister had special responsibility. He was chair of CARICOM. We have had Haitians landing on our shores and being returned in the middle of what we knew was civil war. Our brothers and our sisters were turned away. We have had our Cuban doctors who have served us for decades, summarily dismissed and sent back. And then suddenly now, we are a dumping ground for persons whom the US has decided is undesirable for their country. So who are we? Don't we matter? Is it our safety, our security supposed to matter to our leaders? So then, Franklin. Yes, Desmond.
Sister Dana, another thing is that we have to understand that Minister Marks could not be acting on her own.
Well,
she couldn't just get up as a member of cabinet and go to America and tell them that we want to be part of the program. She must be working on the instructions of her colleague, and the Prime Minister is in charge of the cabinet. Right.
You're absolutely correct. But you know, Senator Dana Morris Dixon has said that it was the US who approached us. Now, if you ask me, would I believe a diplomatic note from the US Embassy or the voice of a minister in the Andrew Hodges administration? Which one would I believe? I can say to you quite unhesitatingly that I would believe the diplomatic note. Why would they lie and say they were approached? And yes, if they were approached, and Minister Marks was at a special security conference, which the Prime Minister did not attend the main conference, and she was actually shown in photographs as being present, she would never take onto herself that responsibility of approaching the US about taking the deportees. Never.
Just
So
for
she
context,
had to be-
just for
Yes.
context, Senator, and just remind the people that we're speaking here about Audrey Marks, who's a member of the cabinet now, and the former Jamaican ambassador to Washington, of whom it was said had made the approaches to the US. I haven't heard any denial from her, except that, as you say, some government, Dana Morris Dixon has said that Jamaica did not approach the US. That's what she's saying. But does it matter? Does it matter who approached whom, or the fact that Jamaica agreed to this thing?
For me, it is important. For me, it is important. If St. Kitts, we had a Jamaican man deported to St. Kitts in May. Under this same program, people were sent to St. Kitts, and amongst them was a Jamaican. I was startled. I thought it was fake news. I made an inquiry, and I was told that they didn't know anything about that, but they would check and let me know. I never got back an answer. But you see, I raise this because we know that it was not be the first time that a Jamaican has been sent to a third country.
That's right.
So this program is one of confusion. It lacks clarity. It lacks legitimacy. It is being questioned in the courts in the United States, even as we speak. So it matters to me that a member of our cabinet would be the one to make the approach, because you'll be inviting all these problems which have been experienced by other countries. And indeed, Franklin, in former Swaziland, Eswatini,
yes,
they are paid $5.1 million to accept 160 persons. According to Minister Chang, we are not receiving any compensation from the United States. It's just that we are partners and we are friends. And it's on that basis why we have agreed to accept these people. 25%.
What do you think is really behind this whole murky, sorry state of affairs?
Franklin, I think the entire Jamaica is asking that. I think this is one issue which has crossed all political lines. In other words, Labourite and PNP feel the same way about it. In the diaspora, they are offended by it. This is one issue that has brought the people together and asking the same question which you are asking now: what is behind it? And that is why I've said the government needs to come to the people and explain it, because it is deeply disturbing. They contradict each other at every turn. It is a murky situation, and it does not reflect well on the administration. And the people of Jamaica are completely rejecting it.
What do you as a lawyer, what do you believe how do you think we should progress from here? I'm also asking you, has there anybody from the administration reached out to you as a spokesperson? With
nobody from the, as I said some time ago, when I saw the person from St. Kitts being deported, the person from Jamaica being deported to St. Kitts, I did reach out. Yes. I did not get a response. I've certainly not got any kind of communication from the government. And I don't think anybody in the party has received any communication from the government. But this government feels that even to their own supporters, once you vote for them, you are to move out of the way and allow them to govern. They don't have the same approach to democracy that other governments have had, including JLP governments. Somebody like Bruce Golding would have taken up the phone and called the leader of opposition and had a discussion, would have been properly briefed. Not so with the Andrew Hodges administration. They don't.
Well, I see on my phone here someone asking me to find out from you, Senator. How would the government be expected to talk about this to the opposition? What would you expect before they made it known to the country?
This is a fundamental matter. It has been, there have been MOUs signed with other countries. There have been questions asked about that MOU. It is being litigated in the Supreme Court. In other words, the concerns which have been raised are serious and grave. And therefore, the opposition, as a constitutional figure, they should be engaged in discussing such a matter as this. Indeed, I will go further. The question that I would also like to find out, get an answer to, is did you do any research to find out how this program was operating in the countries where it has been instituted? It's different in the other countries because there is clear compensation. The government there, it's not costing the government there in the various territories any money. But here in Jamaica, the taxpayers of this country would ultimately be assuming the responsibility for these persons.
Unless there's the International Migration Organization of Migration, which will be putting up the people in Jamaica. That's what Mr. Chang says.
At whose expense?
IOM. I think that there are some holes. Go ahead, Senator.
Now, how does it work? Because Minister Chang also pointed out that we had the systems to process the people who were coming in, and that and reminded us that we get about 100 deportees every month.
Jamaican deportees. Yes.
Jamaicans. This is Jamaicans returning. Now that we are getting a minimum of 50 foreigners per month, are they processed in the same way? Are the similar checks out? Can we accept that they are really not convicts? Or is there an independent verification of whether or not they are convicts? If he says that
it's murky.
No, and the one that concerns me the most is the fact that they are free to come and go as they like. They can move around.
Yes. In other words, the guy comes into Jamaica and 2 days time he could be down on the beach in Ochi or eating fish down at Alligator Pond, or wherever. He could be out night clubbing with some people down in Kingston. I just find that ridiculous that they won't be detained in whatever way, but that they'll be free to come and go as they like. I find,
and they are not,
and that's
Jamaican.
why I think there's so much of it that is very murky and just needs explanation. So what I'm asking, Senator, is how you see it from here on. What do you see now as possible?
That the only way that will be clarified and that murkiness will be unearthed is when the Jamaican government comes to us in a serious way to discuss this matter. Because certainly, they have not done so. What we have are ministers contradicting each other. In fact, I question whether it came to the cabinet at all. And the reason why I do is that when Minister Chang first discussed it, he himself did not seem to be so familiar with what was supposed to be happening. When he spoke in Parliament, he actually gave a different spin to it.
Yes.
And we have not heard from Minister Marks. We certainly have not heard from the Prime Minister.
We haven't heard from the Foreign Minister either.
And one of the reports says that this was negotiated by the Foreign Minister. She was very active in it, but we have not heard anything.
Dr. Chang said that, yes.
Yes. So do the Jamaican people deserve to know what is happening when people are brought to their shores like this?
Yes, we deserve to know what we deserve to know what is happening, Senator Scott. But I am not optimistic that you will hear much from the government. How I see it, I think the government is just playing up to the US government to make sure that his administration is in President Trump's good books. And if you observe Jamaica's behavior as far as US activities in the Caribbean, you will understand that not Jamaica alone, the CARICOM leaders, because remember that America has broken this zone of peace and has killed over 100 people in our waters and the Pacific, saying that they were drug dealers. They have not provided us with any evidence, right? And you have heard very little from CARICOM leaders so far. So I think this move by what we are witnessing now is just an action by the government to ensure that it remain in the president's good books. I don't expect a lot from them.
But Desmond,
Senator, I know you are. I'd like you to respond to Desmond, and I know you have to leave shortly. As we have said before, you were very kind in coming out of your family event for us. But before you respond to Desmond, and just pick up a comment from Dave Wedderburn. Dave Wedderburn is asking people to get involved by sharing the live, please. Owen Richards is asking a question which you referred to. How much money is involved in this agreement with the US government? And we have no idea of that. I mean, we know that there must be costs.
Oh, and they have said that they're not being supported by the US government. Minister Chang actually answered and said, we are doing it because we are good friends with the US, a sort of partnership.
They're our allies, yes.
Yes. So I don't understand it, Owen, and I hope that perhaps you can bring some clarity to it, because I think we are all completely in the dark. There doesn't seem to be any financial return. As I said, other countries have got money as a result of it. They have got money to cover their basic expenses and to invest in infrastructure with their borders. But Jamaica has not announced that. Now, Desmond, let me tell you my view. I believe that you can be friends with somebody. I think you can support an administration. But I also think that it is very important as a country is like a person, you know. A country has a personality and traits of an individual. And I think it's very important that when you lead a country, the country must have some kind of principle on which it is based and must have integrity. So I can support the US, and I do. But I'm not going to compromise everything about who I am because I want to support somebody else. I think we have to stand for something, or we will fall for anything. What is this fear about losing a US visa? Why is it that our leaders are so scared to take a stand because they don't want to lose their US visa? It has been used as a threat. In fact, today I saw it used against the Secretary General of the OAS. And it has been used. There are many countries in which leadership has been sanctioned by the removal of a US visa. But I would want to say that the US has been one of the richest cultural spaces ever. When back then, everybody wanted to go to the land of the free and the land of the brave, which was the United States. They should try very hard to preserve that reputation. They should not make it seem as though if you don't agree with them, you cannot visit their country.
Senator, the last question I have to ask you before you leave us. Did we have a choice? If they approached us, if the US approached Jamaica, did Jamaica have a choice but to just accept it and maybe work on the margins? Did we have a choice?
I think you always have a choice. I think that a very good response for me, had I been put in that position, would have been, but the matter is being litigated in your courts. They are finding that it breaches international agreements and it breaches persons' constitutional rights and their human rights. Certainly, that is a basis for saying that no minister should approach them to be part of the program. And if we were asked to be part of the program, at the very least, we should have those issues resolved in the courts. And then we should find a way, if we had no choice, to ensure that we preserve the security and the rights of Jamaican people, that we are not spending taxpayers' money on housing them and taking care of all their expenses, that the refugee status, which we are told that they can claim, is something which is deeply scrutinized. And I think very importantly, to me, most importantly, within the context of the type of persons that the administration said they were sending here, that we have to ensure the security of our children.
Yes.
And security of our women.
Women. Senator Donna Scott Motley, we want to thank you. She's opposition senator and she's Shadow Minister of Foreign, Regional and Diaspora Affairs. Thank you very much and wish you a good rest of the evening. Thank you for
Thank you for having
giving
me.
us some of your
Thank you
family
so
time.
much. Bye, Desmond.
Thank you. All right. Well, we want to thank Senator, and we're going to move along. You know, after the Gleaner broke the news, the following day. Well, first I should welcome now two Jamaicans living abroad who are with us, Wilfred Radigan and Michael Dunn. Now, Radigan is the well-known host of two shows on Global Digital and Reggae Global Radio out of Florida. His shows are Reasoning with Radigan and Relaxing with the Rebel. That's his reputation as a rebel. He's also legal counsel to the stations. We also have Michael Dunn, who avidly follows current affairs and lives in the US. Mr. Dunn.
I'm not hearing anything.
Not hearing me? Not hearing me, Mr. Dunn? All right, Mr. Dunn, I'm going to try. I hope you're hearing me. Let's remind you, and before we come to them, let's remind you of the first public statement on the deportees by Dr. Horace Chang, Security Minister, after the Gleaner broke the story.
I'm not hearing.
Mr. Dunn is not hearing us. I don't know why, but Radigan, you hearing us?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So let's Joshua, just give us that little piece of video with Dr.
Receiving
Chang.
any deportees from the United States, except Jamaicans. May I repeat that? We are not, no agreement, no understanding to accept deportees from the United States. We accept every month 100 Jamaican deportees. And we have the expertise and the staff to manage their entry into Jamaica. That arrangement was negotiated by professionals so that they can come in a structured, organized manner and be resettled in Jamaica, their homeland. The cost of that is all Jamaican. We are receiving, and we have no agreement to or understanding, the MOUs, to receive convicts from the United States. And this, of course, any Jamaicans are deported, which we have agreements, because America is our primary ally and primary partner in trade and in security. And we do have deportees from Jamaica to the United States from time to time, or we have occasionally from the United States convicts. But we have no agreement, no understanding, and there are no discussions to accept convicts from the United States. In fact, anyone coming from the United States is reviewed by the NIB before I indicate that they can land in the country. There is no discussion, review, or understand to accept 10,000 illegal immigrants from the United States. Again, the only illegal immigrants we take from the United States are the Jamaicans who are there. And those conditions are negotiated by professionals from the Ministry of National Security and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We have signed, after extensive negotiation by the relevant professionals, again, mainly from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of National Security, Office of the Prime Minister, and of course, the lawyers from the Attorney General's office. An agreement to transition to Jamaica some third country nationals from the United States. The number is 25. It's an understanding, and at no time will the number exceed 25 because we have the right to refuse anyone at any time. And both parties can terminate the entire agreement without any long-term notice. The process is basically operational. Procedure is still being worked out, and are being negotiated by the professionals, and it will be some time before we see anyone landing here. But when they do, they will come on the basis of an understanding that the government of the United States will pay the initial stay in Jamaica. They'll be accommodated by the International Organization for Migrants, United Nations body, with which we are working. And of course, the Ministry of National Security will deal with the technical, legal side. There'll be nobody detained. Nobody with detention. As part of an international understanding, not a bilateral agreement. The activity to transition them to Jamaica is a bilateral agreement negotiated between two governments who are allies in many areas, and in economy, security, and otherwise. Those are the facts as they are. We are among the about number 7 to agree in the Caribbean Latin American region, because our technical team sat down, negotiate all aspects of the issue.
All right. Wow. Rodigan, let's start with you. What were you telling listeners on your show yesterday, and what do you make of this agreement, this arrangement? Rodigan, let's start with you.
Okay. The more I listen to the Minister of National Security and Peace, the more I'm confused as to what he's trying to say. Because one minute he says there is an agreement. Another minute he says there's no agreement. Then he said it's an MOU. Then he said it's a bilateral agreement. Not quite sure where he's going with it. But here's the thing. No matter how much he tries to nice it up, at the end of the day, these people are deportees. He's saying they're called TCNs, and so they're going to be treated differently. They're deported from the United States.
They're deportees.
They're
Call
deportees.
them what they are, yes.
Exactly. So what they call them TCNs or whatever, they are forcibly removed from the United States. And as such, they're deportees. Now, it gets murky as to how we're going to treat them. But we need to go back and figure out how did this agreement come about, and why did this agreement come about, and why no? You hear him mention on several occasions that the United States is our ally and our trading partner and all of that. If you go back and you look at the statistics put out by Statin, the United States is Jamaica's #1 trading partner, import and export. And when somebody basically controls your economy and they tell you what to do, you have no choice, you have to do it. This agreement...
So you are saying Jamaica had no choice?
No, whatever America tells Jamaica to do, Jamaica must do it. There is no question. Listen, I worked in intelligence for a number of years, decades, and I can tell you this, that the Integrity Commission, what they've done in terms of trying to uncover the Prime Minister's finances is nothing compared to what the US government has on him. They have so much on him that they could just bring him down with the stroke of a pen or a phone call. It's that simple. And so when they say dance, you have to dance. And you continue dancing until they tell you to stop. It's that simple. We don't need to go no further. And this piece about where they're coming and they're so confused because they meaning the Jamaican government. Because one hand you hear the Minister Dana Dixon saying that, oh, it was a cabinet decision. And then somebody had asked at that same briefing, the post-cab briefing, whether or not the MOU would be released. And he made such a ridiculous statement by saying that it is a public document and therefore, yes, it can be released to the public. No! Cabinet decisions are confidential and secret. And if you try to get that information through the access to information, they will tell you that under the access to information, you cannot get cabinet decisions. You cannot get discussions. You cannot get documents. It's that simple.
Rodigan, I'm going to come back to you, but let me pick up Michael Dunn here. And before Michael Dunn, let me just say to some of that's commenting. Rubian Bob says, good afternoon. I have a comment here on my phone. I have never heard such a crazy situation. Why can't these deportees be returned to their homeland? Jamaicans, and I suspect their homeland directly from the U.S. Jamaicans have stooped so low to become U.S. dumping ground. I am dismayed.
I'm not hearing, Franklin.
You're not hearing. I don't know. Joshua, can you try to do something with Michael down there because he's not hearing us? Michael, we're going to see what we can do because you're not hearing us. You're not hearing us, Michael. All right, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's happening with Michael Dunn. Joshua, see what you can do with Michael Dunn, and Desmond, jump in when you like. So Radigan, you are saying that the U.S. has to squeeze on us because of how poor we are or the state of our economy. That's what you're saying. We have no say, and therefore, whatever the U.S. pleases to do, they can do in this case. That's what you're saying, Radigan.
Yeah, because of the trading situation, they can do and other things, intelligence gathering. They can do whatever they want to do. But getting back to this thing, you just mentioned it about the transiting through Jamaica. It's absolute poppycock. It's nonsense. Because here's the thing: why would you send somebody to Jamaica and say, well, we're going to keep them in Jamaica, and at some point in time, which we haven't determined, they can move on to their country, to their home country? It's nonsense. They have flights leaving the US almost every part of the world. So
every day.
Wouldn't it make sense instead of transiting them through Jamaica for them to just fly directly, send them directly to where they came from? I mean, this and
it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. And no. Wherever you're going to hold them, I mean, Mr. Minister is saying, Dr. Chang is saying that the U.S. is going to be paying, the International Organization of Migrants is going to be paying for that. The U.S. is going to be paying their fare. Why not just send them to the countries that they're supposed to go?
But
why not?
But here's something that we've overlooked. Yes, International Organization of Migration, yes, they said they'll pick up some of the charges. The United States will pick up some of the charges. But here's what Minister Chang also said. He said if you have 25 people in the country, and by the way, the number moved from 25 to 10. He said 25 at the post-cap briefing, and then when he got to Parliament, he said 10. But here's the thing. If you have these people in Jamaica and they decide to file for asylum,
yes,
asylum is denied, you know who's going to pay for them to get kicked out of the country? The Jamaican taxpayer.
Absolutely. Yes, and that process is going to take some time. I don't know, everything is going to be stalled over that time. Mr. Dunn, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
Okay, thank you. Well, give us your take on all of this. How do you feel about it?
All right, this is really a surprise to most of us Jamaicans because we're hearing all kind of stories. We never heard when the negotiations started. We are only getting the end results of the negotiation. My take on it is, as somebody said a while ago, why do they have to go through Jamaica to another country? The U.S. is capable of sending them directly to wherever they want to send them. So obviously, it's like the U.S. is just I don't want to call it a scam. It's scamming Jamaica to, once they land in Jamaica, and they are out of the U.S.
Yeah, out of their hands, not their problem again.
Yeah, exactly. So what as the question was asked a while ago, what if the forwarding country refused to take them? We don't know who these people are. We don't know what language they speak. What if they can't speak English? They don't know patois.
And they are not detained.
And they are not detained. Where do they sleep? Where do they eat? Who is going to be responsible for shelter? I mean, people are still out of shelter after the hurricane, and we don't know, the amount of these people who are coming into the island. I don't want to use the word scam, but that's the word that keeps coming up in my head. That somehow the Jamaican government was scammed into this agreement.
Ratia, you had a program yesterday on this. What's your sense being on that side in Florida and in Raid, and how do Jamaicans feel about it generally, the ones that you have been talking to?
They've expressed the feelings similar to what Mr. Dunn just expressed. A lot of questions being asked, because had it not
I'm
been
not hearing Winfred.
Hello?
Sorry, go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah. Had it not been for the leak, most people or most of us would never have known about this. And
Yeah.
and so how did this come about with the concurrence of the Prime Minister? Also, where is the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade in all of this? She's noticeably absent. And remember now, they're tracing this back to former Ambassador Audrey Marks, because they're saying that she and she's the one who spearheaded the negotiation going back to last year. And we have information
and in fact suggested it from this side.
Even though now we're hearing the Jamaican government is saying, no, you're conflating the issue with the 10,000 people coming and the 25 coming, and there's no conflation. It's the same, the common denominator, Audrey Marks.
Yeah. Oh.
So
what would you expect now, Radigan? What would you expect at this stage now, based upon all the feeling, based upon what I call the murkiness of this thing, the sliminess of it as well? What do you expect to happen now?
Well, the government seems bent on going through with this MOU, and the public sentiments are against it, and so we will have to wait and see if the government is going to go through with it, because they said that it doesn't take effect until certain details are worked out, and so far we haven't heard as to when those details will be worked out or when those people will be arriving in Jamaica. Now, we've been told that it will be 25 at a clip. And he also said
at each time, and they won't have more than 25.
It's nonsense.
Things happen and so on.
Franklin, think about it. You spend all this time negotiating, effort, time, money, all of this stuff to say, okay, we're going to let 25 people come in Jamaica. And once you have 25, you know what he said, Minister Chang? He said, once we have 25, the program ends. That's what he says. And so,
I understand him to say, and anybody can tell me if I'm wrong, that once you have 25 here, you don't have another plane load coming. You have got to process those 25 before you have another set.
And that's what I'm saying.
I understand it to say.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's what I'm saying to you, that we're not quite sure where this man is coming from, because he actually used the words. He said the program ends once you get 25 people in. That's it. Because we played the clip last night on the program, and he's I don't know. I'm
a little concerned about Dr. Chang, really, and how much he knows about and how he's articulating. I'm a little concerned because with his statement and in the parliament too, and another statement outside, one gets more confused, one gets less clarity as things go on. I'm a little concerned about where Dr. Chang is going with all of this. Mr. Dunn, what do you expect now? What would you expect now? And
You mean, no, repeat that question.
In terms of this agreement, do you expect them to try to pull out of it, reshape it? What would you expect?
Well, I don't think Jamaica can pull out as they wish. As Wilfred said
Minister
earlier,
says any side can pull out without any long, and he didn't say how much, but any long. What was that again? Long-term notice or notification?
Well, the Dr. Chang says that they can pull out at any time, but if you can pull out at any time, why did you accept the agreement in the first place? And I think we are trapped somehow in this. We are trapped somehow into this agreement, and it's it's going to take maybe another U.S. administration to negotiate us out of this agreement. I don't think
we are in this thing.
I don't think we're going to get out of this administration.
Desmond, go ahead.
Wilfred made a point which I want to associate with, and that is, this thing is sealed and signed already. We are talking here now. I am saying that this discussion that we are having will not impact this agreement in any way. It is sealed and signed. The point is that America has sealed this agreement. Jamaica cannot say no to it, right? And as I said earlier, Jamaica is doing everything to ensure that it remain in the good book of President Trump. And that is what is happening. Now, the world has changed, that is something. Because if I reflect, I can remember that there was a time in the Caribbean when you had a group of leaders where they would have, this thing wouldn't pass them. But those leaders are dead. The current crop of Caribbean leaders, they have demonstrated, they have shown what they are capable of, and they are serving the interests of the United States.
Right. Rodigan, we're going to move on to another big story of the week. But I just wanted you to understand, if you are saying that no matter what type of government we had, no matter how much caring they might say about their people, no matter what Desmond is talking about, type of governments of the past, we are stuck because of the state of our economy. That's your position, Rodigan.
Yeah, and dependence. And I agree with Desmond that the agreement is signed and sealed. And you're asking, how do we get out? The only time we get out of this is if the US government says, okay, we'll let you out. But we have no independence to pull out. No matter what you hear them say that you can pull out at any time, no. We pull out when they say we can pull out. If they say we're going ahead with the agreement is going to go forward. It's that simple.
All right. We're going to turn to another story of the week. What is Andrew Wheatley to do now? Let's remind you of the story so far. And here's how the Gleaner reported it. One of Joshua can put on the screen that little first part before we just ask our guests to mention two quick things. Joshua, can you give us that first part of that Gleaner report? All right, that report was saying between 2013 and 2022, Cabinet Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley had approximately 164 million Jamaican dollars, that's about $1 million US, in assets that were disproportionate to his lawful sources of income over the 9-year period, according to an investigation by Jamaica's main anti-corruption body. In a report tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday of the past week, the Integrity Commission ruled that Wheatley, the de facto Science and Technology Minister, be charged for illicit enrichment and other alleged breaches of the country's anti-corruption laws over the period 2010 to 22. And illicit enrichment primarily refers to public officials owning assets disproportionate to their lawful earnings, who failed to provide a satisfactory explanation when investigated by the Integrity Commission. Now, Rodigan, I come to you again first, and you did mention some of your background in which goes in this direction as well, of these types of investigations. But what do you think should happen now with Dr. Wheatley? By the way, he has said that he has been able to, he can explain a lot of these things. Yes, that's taken up the country's money, and he's proceeding with his lawyers to contest this when at the right time. Rodigan, what is your advice to in this situation?
what he said, what the Dr. Wheatley said, is par for the course. You expect him to say that he's going to explain things and that his battery of attorneys will make sure that he's exonerated. My question to him on the first point about explaining is, why didn't he explain it to the Integrity Commission when they came to him? It took him...
And he said he explained several things. For example, I remember one of the parts of the discussion was that he said he couldn't give them details about the rental incomes that he collected from various businesses because of privacy legislation and so forth. And they said they went to him several times. You know the drill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They went to him several times, and if you go back and you look at the sequence of events, it was, I think, like over 2 years. They've been asking him for all kinds of information, and he just failed to provide. He kept delaying. And then there are things that he didn't tell them. Like, for example, he didn't tell them about everything that he has in Florida. We did it on our program last night. We asked him in terms of questions like, do you have this? Did you do this? Did you do that? Because we have access to certain things. And so we know that he lied to them. Even when he was trying to tell them the truth, he didn't tell them the complete truth. And therein lies the problem. One of the problems I have with the Integrity Commission, in fact, I call them the Commission, and they have referred to themselves at times as the Commission, because one of the things they should have done, or what they should do with all of these ministers, look overseas first. And they have the charter to do it within the Integrity Commission Act of 2017. They can form partnerships with the Egmont Group, with any group they want overseas, and say, tell us, we're looking at this parliamentarian and we believe that he may have assets in your country. Run a check and just tell us if there's anything. They didn't do that. And in fact, here is something that's quite interesting. Take the Prime Minister's statutory declaration investigation.
Yes.
Compare it and contrast it to the one with Dr. Andrew Wheatley. And you know what you're going to find? It's almost the same thing. Almost the same thing. Where, one, refusal to comply and provide information. Two, some of the information you provided have been declared as false. And three, illicit enrichment. A disproportionate share of your wealth can actually come back to your actual earnings. And when you look, I've looked at both of them. The difference now is that in the Prime Minister's case, when he didn't know about his Nova Scotia accounts with his mother and his mother, sister, mother, and father, and constituency member. And you know what happened? The corruption prosecutor declined to prosecute. And in this case, we have now where they have referred it for prosecution, and it looks like they're going to prosecute him. But watch, Franklin, watch and see. It is my considered judgment that this is going nowhere. And it's hard to say, because if we really want to do something about corruption, here's when they should have done it. Leslie Campbell was found guilty, right? Under the Integrity Commission Act of 2017. What did they do? They fined him, even though he could have gone to prison. Marissa Dalrymple Philibert, she pled guilty. Remember the Mercedes-Benz thing? And what did she do? She paid a fine. So,
and resigned. Yes.
It's
but people have raised questions about the processes here, and so on. But if these cases are going nowhere, if the cases that we are seeing, with all the explanation, the details, the time spent accumulating details, if these cases are going nowhere, you're going to get a much more cynical population, and a population that's come around to believing that corruption, a sort of thing set, and we can proceed. I'm not able to judge one way or the other on these gentlemen we have spoken of, or this lady. But the point is, they've got to get to a stage where it becomes very clear, it goes to court, and the courts rule on the courts deal with the prosecution that we have. Mr. Dunn, your quick word on this before I go to another point about fathers. Mr. Dunn?
You mentioned corruption. I don't know. It seems to me that it has become the norm in, I don't know if it's just Jamaican politics or Caribbean politics. And when things like things like these have happened over the years, different administrations, and the bad thing about it is that nobody is held accountable. It's just a nightly talk, and
that is
there's
bitter, because it's going to leave the country, the people of the country, lacking
exactly.
belief in themselves, believing that there's no accountability to be got anywhere. We set up this organization, gets billions of dollars to do work. It does work, and we're not getting anywhere with it. Today, I'm gonna have to leave it there. Today is Father's Day, and frankly speaking, we don't want to end without saying thanks to fathers who have carried out their obligations and duties to their families and the nation.
Today,
Winnie put together a treat for them.
Today,
so here's Winnie.
Today, I say Happy Father's Day to all fathers. The following song is My Thoughts put to music by AI. This is how I look at fatherhood. There's so many different situations. It's not the same for every father on this Father's Day. So I take this opportunity to honor all fathers.
There's a man who held your hand for your very first stride, and a grandfather watching with a lifetime of pride. There's a father-in-law who opened up his own door, adding branches to a tree that was strong from before. It's a bond built on time. It's the wisdom they share, the quiet devotion of just being there. Some love arrives by blood, some love arrives by name, but the hands that stay through the years still carry the same flame. Because a father stays steady through the shifting rains. A father stays steady when the world won't stay the same. To the world you are a man, to a child you're a prayer. Happy Father's Day. To the anchors we hold there, anchors we hold, whose love writes a story more precious than gold.
Thank you. And yes, Delia, you're hearing birds. I'm not in the studio, but you're hearing birds, and they're singing along to that song put together by Winnie with AI. Radigan, I have a comment here on my phone asking, how do we get to listen to your show?
Oh,
can you just say that and give us a call?
Yeah, I have two programs. One is the big show is on Saturday from 3 to 8 o'clock on Reggae Global Radio or on YouTube, and it's called Reason with Ratigan. And then we have another one on Wednesday. It's called Come Reason with Ratigan. And that's the one where we open up the phone lines and we take calls. We don't do the phone line thing on Saturdays because we have so many topics of discussion. So you can catch me Saturday from 3 to 8. That's New York time. Or you can catch me on Wednesdays And we start at 7 o'clock on Wednesdays, and we finish whenever the phone calls stop coming in. But frankly,
they are both reachable on YouTube.
Both YouTube or Reggae Global Radio. Reggae Global Radio on Saturdays only, but YouTube, both programs. But before going further, I just want to say something that I want to big up all of the mothers who are fathers, because there are a lot of mothers who raise children. I want to say mothers, grandmothers, mothers, aunties who raise us, and we mustn't forget them, even though it's Father's Day. You've heard about the mother who fathered me.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks. Well said. That's our show for today. Remember, you can watch this podcast again at any time at your convenience by clicking the link or by going to the Frankly Speaking Jamaica YouTube channel. Remember to like, share the podcast, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks to our guests, Donna Scott Motley, Senator Donna Scott Motley, Wilfred Rattigan, well-known broadcaster, YouTube man all over the place, man Michael Dunn. Thanks to Desmond Richards and graphic artist producer Joshua Black. Thanks to all of you for watching. And again, happy Father's Day. On behalf of all of us, I'm Franklin McKnight. Until then.
The lights go up, the mics are lit. We're feeling that energy, that Sunday drive. Whether you're here while the clock is ticking or catching the replay, the plot is thickening. From the very first word to the final thought,